Sometimes the easiest solution, well, it isn't really a solution at all. We're going to dive into a story today that's all about that. A powerful warning about the hidden dangers of a quick fix.
Seriously, have you ever been in that spot? You think you've nailed it, you've solved a problem, but then, whoops, you've actually made things way worse. It's that classic out of the frying pan into the fire situation. And that's exactly what this story is all about. So, our story begins with a heartbreaking loss. But here's the thing, it doesn't actually start there. It starts with so much hope, a moment of pure joy and what feels like a brand new beginning. So picture this. You've got this pair of cranes right by a beautiful river. They've built this perfect little nest high up in a tree, and for the very first time, they have eggs. They are absolutely over the moon, just dreaming about the family they're about to have. But then, disaster strikes. They go off to find some food, and when they get back, the nest is empty. Just like that. Can you imagine? Their joy just evaporates. They look everywhere, but the eggs are just gone. No clues, nothing. Just heartbreak. But they don't give up. Even with that grief, they find the strength to try again. They pick a new spot, build a whole new nest, and hope for the best. And soon enough, they have new eggs. They're definitely more cautious this time, but still so hopeful. And you won't believe it, it happens again. The nest is empty, but this time it's different. This time, they know who did it. They saw the culprit, a snake slithering away. And now that sadness, it turns into pure rage. They're absolutely desperate.
Okay, so this leads us to our next part. A clever but desperate plan. The cranes are at their wits' end. They know they can't take on the snake by themselves. So they go looking for help. And they find a wise old crab who comes up with a plan. A plan that's, well, it's pretty brilliant. But man, is it risky.
So here's the crab's big idea. It's basically the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of deal. Step 1, they're going to make a trail of fish leading from a mongoose's burrow all the way to their tree. Why a mongoose? 'Cause it's a snake's worst nightmare. Then they'll loudly announce their new eggs, basically inviting the snake over for a snack. The whole thing is a giant trap. Okay, so with a little bit of hope back in their hearts, they go for it. They put the plan into motion. And just think about how tense this must be. They are intentionally luring not one, but two dangerous predators right to their front door. And this sets up a really wild situation. On one hand, you've got the known enemy, right? The snake that's been tormenting them. But on the other hand, you've got their hired help, a mongoose, a seriously fierce predator that they've just invited to the party. It's a very uneasy alliance, to say the least. And boom, the plan works like a charm. The mongoose smells those fish and follows the trail right to the tree. And right on cue, here comes the snake, slithering up to the nest. The mongoose sees the snake, and it is on. The fight starts instantly. So the cranes are watching all of this from their nest, and it's this incredibly vicious fight. But after what feels like forever, the mongoose wins. The snake is gone, and you can just imagine the wave of relief that washes over them. Finally, it's over. So, problem solved, right? The bad guy is gone, they can finally relax. Or can they? Because what they don't realize yet is that their perfect solution is about to turn into a brand new nightmare. Just think about that feeling for a second. The snake, their tormentor, is finally gone. That constant fear, that heartbreak, it's all been wiped away. For that one moment, it must have felt like the biggest win of their lives. But that relief, it doesn't last long. And this, right here, is where the story takes a huge turn. That feeling of safety, yeah, it was about to disappear. So the next day, they come back from getting food, and they see something that just chills them to the bone. It's the mongoose, their savior. And it's climbing down from their nest. They fly up in a panic, and it's empty. Their eggs are gone. The protector just became the new predator. And that brings us to the big lesson here, the lesson of the cranes. Because this isn't just some sad animal fable. No, it's a perfect, real-world example of something called second-order thinking. So what is that? Let's break it down. The first-order consequence is the immediate result. For the cranes, that was great. The snake is gone, problem solved. But they didn't think about the second-order consequence. What happens next? What happens after the snake is gone? Well, now they have an even better predator living at the bottom of their tree who knows exactly where to get an easy meal. And this old story connects to so many modern problems, right? The source material gives a great example. Think about taking out a quick, high-interest loan because you're short on cash. The first-order effect? Sweet relief. You've got the money you need. But that second-order effect? It can be crushing debt, which is a way, way bigger problem than you started with. So, how do we make sure we don't end up like the cranes? Well, the lessons are pretty straightforward. First, you've got to stay calm, even when things are tough, and think clearly. You have to stop and really consider the consequences. And most importantly, you need to avoid those solutions that just seem easy. The best question you can ever ask yourself is, and then what? That simple question forces you to look beyond the quick fix and solve the real problem. So, I want to leave you with this one thought. The next time you're facing a tough decision and some easy, quick fix pops up, just stop for a second, pause, and ask yourself, what's the hidden mongoose in this plan? What's the thing I'm not seeing that could end up being a much bigger problem down the road?